Proverbs 13 says, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children." We are the recipients of a rich heritage. Because of that, we believe the inheritance of our faith will long outlast the inheritance of our riches.
God blesses us so much that
the way it was reaches back and receives what the generation before us has handed us, and it reaches forward and hands it to the generation that follows us. No matter the weapon or the gear, our mission is to show you our way.
What about this, boy?
This is our faith. This is our family. This is our heritage.
Domino!
This is the way it was. Texas is known for being a target-rich environment, which means there's no surprise that Paw and Goat would find themselves in the Lone Star State with a pocket full of tags. The way that the guys found themselves heading to the Barnes Keith Ranch is rather unique. In 2018, Goat went north to bear camp with good friend Tom Nelson and truly had a trip of a lifetime. When Sid left, he told Tom they had to do it again. In 2019, Tom had invited the guys to Texas on one of his favorite places to hunt in the country, the Barnes Keith Ranch.
I was dealing with some tight quarters here. Had a couple other deer out in front of us, these junior bucks. The big 8 was kind of quartering towards me as he came in, offering no shot. Had my release strapped on. I've got my bow up. I'm just waiting for that shot. I'm like, the first good quality shot I get, I'm going to take. Because that's oftentimes, especially dealing with big bucks, it comes down to one opportunity. And you better be able to take advantage of that opportunity when it presents itself. Because again, like I said, you might get one chance. Was the buck I've been waiting all week for. It's day 4, the morning of day 4. We've seen him twice, but never came within bow range. Finally this morning, right after daylight, he followed a few bucks in, had a nice 18-yard or so shot at him, but I was drawn back, let up, drawn. Deer were moving around. He was a little skittish, but I finally got a shot at him, so. This is what I come down to Texas to hunt with Jose here at the Barnes Keith Ranch for. Bucks of this caliber, older, dark horn bucks. And half the fun is targeting a specific buck. Again, cutting back photos of him on a different spot, and so Jose moved us about a half mile to where this buck had relocated, and it paid off. And the big thing is, I guess, is never giving up and staying the course. And we talked about it even this morning on the drive out about how hunters a lot of times want to jump to a different spot or give up or try something different. And Jose said, you just gotta stay in there. You gotta hang in there and it'll happen sooner or later. He'll make a mistake, and he did. And I'm blessed. Fantastic deer.
The Way It Was is brought to you by WTL Ministries, reaching outdoorsmen through the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Paw and Goat have arrived at the Barnes Keith. While driving over from Louisiana, they talked about a game plan and decided to bring both the longbows and their expeditions. If they can get a buck with traditional archery, great. But if one steps out a little bit out of their comfort zone, they aren't afraid to grab the compound.
I think I do.
All right, it's first morning in Texas at the Barnes Keith Ranch, and Tom Nelson has been telling us to come down here for years, and unfortunately he wasn't able to be here this year. Tom's got a little doctor problem he's got to get taken care of, but it's probably 45 minutes before daylight. We're set up in a blind here that, and of course they feed in Texas like we feed in Kansas, but I'm ready. I've got my longbow in this side, and I got my expedition compound in this side, so we're gonna cut this thing and see what happens. Like those two little bucks out there, the little full spike.
Okay then, this is our first morning down here in Texas. We not too far from the Colorado River. We hadn't hunted in Texas in several years, but we late hunting in January, so we came down here to see what we could do with one of these Texas deer. They're a little bit different size from what we're accustomed to seeing up there in Kansas, so these targets might be a little bit smaller.
I don't think that big old cow is going to be helping Paul's chances this afternoon of killing a big buck. On second thought, ribeyes in camp wouldn't be bad.
All right.
I know I'm getting at least like 10 pounds. I've been out here.
Well, you have a couple of months.
All right.
So.
There, he ain't there. It took me one of them camels. It's our first afternoon in Texas, and this morning we had a pretty good little sit. We had a lot of deer around us, but nothing we wanted to shoot. So our buddy Mark in camp got a nice 8-point this morning. Good for him. It's a good sign. We're in a new place, similar to where we were this morning, but I'm sure a totally different bunch of deer. So maybe the one we're looking for will come in.
It seems to be a little slow going for the guys in Texas. One thing that you can count on is that the weather will do exactly the opposite of what you expect. This buck looks pretty good, but it still may be a little young. It's still early. I know Paul is practicing a little patience and perseverance.
The Way It Was is brought to you by Monster Meal. Animal attraction, premium nutrition, superior results.
After the first day, it's been a little slow for the guys. After a little breakfast and some time to strategize, Paul and Goat decide to break up the day and play a little game of horse.
Right, look. It's horse. No game of horse.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh!
you a hoe. Okay.
I'm a
nice
whore.
shot.
I shouldn't stop. I do the feathers.
You got a pretty good shot.
I think I do.
It's like Sid's going to be taking the trophy home in this round.
Are we ready to go hunting?
Okay then, we're back in the blind. We got in the blind here about 2:30. This is, it's kind of overcast. Hopefully the sun won't be shining in here too bad on us. It's pretty open where we're hunting here. We ought to be able to see one coming in at a pretty good ways off. It's the most open one that we've had. So the man tells us there's a good buck been showing up here, so we're gonna try to stuff him. Let's see what happens.
We started seeing deers at 6:10.
I think I looked like a man, wasn't
It was right before the camera light. We did see a nice buck about 75 yards. Chasing does. Yeah.
All right, there again, we're in a pretty typical setup for this part of Texas. And we're getting quiet because we just got here. Deer should be coming in soon, but we're gonna give them a little taste of some monster meal. I don't know if they've ever had it out here. If they hadn't, watch them. I bet they'll come to it this afternoon. All you have to do is this stuff. It's just we'll put a little pile here and put another little pile right in here. We give them 2 little piles. That should be enough right there.
The Way It Was is brought to you by Hybrid Lights. The power of the sun in the palm of your hand.
All right, this is our 3rd day in Texas, and man, it has been slow, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. Combination of they've had a good acorn crop, and the weather's been extremely warm, and here it is, middle of January, and it's supposed to be 70-something degrees today. So, you know, great camp, great place. We just need to get lucky with a deer that wants to come out in daylight. So that's the plan. We're in a new place this morning. We've never been here. We're situated well before daylight. Wait and see what shows up.
This is one of the bucks that Sid's guide had told him about. Big wide nine. He just needs to turn broadside. Give Sid a shot.
did. Finally, we had a good morning. And I think I made a good shot. We could hear these deer out here before we could see them. And I don't know how many was there. There were at least 3 different rack bucks and 5 or 6 does. And finally it started graying up a little bit, and I think this was the oldest deer in the bunch is what I was going by. There wasn't much difference in the racks on any of them, but he looked like he was at least a year or 2 older than anything that was out there. But regardless, it's just fun. And these deer are nervous as they can be. They'd already bolted and left one time, the least little bump, but when I drew my bow just then, I hit the back of the blind. I thought that was gonna mess things up. And I aim low, and if it hit where I think it did, we got a heart shot, because these suckers are bad to drop. But I can't say enough about my little expedition bow. Man, it's such a nice bow. It's been about 40 minutes or so since I shot that buck. And like I told Spitz, I said, where I think I hit that deer, he's either dead now or he's not gonna be dead. We think it's right in there close to the heart. And I aim so low because these deer are so spooky out here. And I think you'll be able to see it on the playback. These suckers will drop a body length in a heartbeat now. And so it's hard to aim under a deer, but that's what I did. And that's one of the reasons that I'm shooting this expedition compound and not my longbow. As spooky as these deer are, if I'd have shot him with my longbow, he might have been gone by the time the arrow got there. So I have nothing against using something that'll get some meat in the freezer. So we're gonna go out here, and we think we got a complete pass through. See if we can find my arrow, and we know exactly where the deer went. Let's see if we can find him. I'm telling you guys, that little Simmons Mako 100 grain head in this compound is a deadly combination. Man, Ray Charles follow this thing right now. And we have a domino, just where I thought he'd be, right in the edge of these woods right there. He may be a little better than I thought he was. I knew he had a decent lane beam. And I definitely didn't hit him low. I'm glad I shot under him. I'm telling you, these suckers drop like who'd have thought it. I'm gonna call him an 8. Trying to make a 10 over here. And there's nothing wrong with that deer at all. And he ran uphill, which means we get to drag him back downhill. That's a good thing. I'm very pleased with this deer. No, he's not a giant, but that wasn't what I came out here expecting to do. I came out here expecting to have fun, and that's what we've done.
Have you ever shot a deer right at dark, and then you go out to try and find that first blood, and the deer runs off, and you're tracking it, and you got a flashlight that's not really the best, and you're losing light fast, and you get out in a thicket. I tell you, I remember one of those hunts for me, and I was walking through these woods and looking for one drop of blood here and one drop of blood there, and then I look up and realize that it's completely dark all around me. My light is going out, and everything looks the same. Darkness has a way of closing up everything in our life. It happens in the woods, but it also happens in our own life, our physical life. Listen to what Jesus said in John chapter 8. He said, I'm the light of the world. He who follows me will not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. If you place faith in Him and trust Him, He'll come to live inside of you. You may have some spiritual questions you've always needed answered. I want to help you with that. In fact, if you go to the website at the bottom of the screen, it's inthehunt.org. You can live chat and talk to some counselors about some of those spiritual questions you have. Maybe you need to make a decision to invite the light of the world into your life, to trust Jesus as your Savior. Hey, thank you for watching The Way It Was.
The Way It Was brought to you by Expedition Archery, Tacticam, Three Rivers Archery, Black Eagle Arrows, Simmons Shark Broadheads. Want to know what the guy's been up to all year? Check us out on Facebook and Instagram for the latest updates happening with the show.